While some Native Americans were busy building casinos, this Native American was busy mowing down Wendigos. Thank you for that intro from my Native American friend, Sheldon. Today, we'll be talking about the Wendigo hunter, Jack Fiddler. A legend was born in the harsh climate of Ontario, Canada, with the birth name of Ojibwa Zauhuno Gizigo Gabwo, an important member of the Sandy Lake Sucker people who were suffering from overhunting as a result of the fur trade. While he was said to possess great shaman and healing skills, he would become well known by his nickname and arguably his most important skill, Jack Fiddler the Wendigo Hunter. It is said that Jack Fiddler killed 14 Wendigos in his life. However, these incidents were not the cinematic duels between man and beast you would initially imagine them to be. In most instances, members of the Sucker people specifically requested Jack kill sick family members or themselves before the curse of the Wendigo could fully take control of them. The supposed Wendigo would be strangled to death and then set on fire, so the diseases could not spread to other members. In one instance, it is said that Jack killed his brother, Peter Felt, after he turned into a Wendigo due to lack of food. So, for those of you who don't know, Wendigos are usually depicted as giant deer humanoid creatures who are extremely violent and have an insatiable hunger to consume. Wendigos are formed when a person is at their most desperate, usually isolated in the wilderness, and resort to eating another person. So the person essentially becomes the Wendigo for giving into the temptation of eating another person in order to survive. But it seems that the Sucker people were operating on a similar but slightly different belief that if a person was sick from exposure to the extreme cold and acting in some type of odd behavior, they were considered a Wendigo. These practices were considered custom for the Sucker people, but to Canadian Mounties they were seen as disgusting and barbaric acts of violence that would lead to their arrest. Specifically, after two Mounties received word that Jack and his brother Joseph had killed a Wendigo who was formerly Joseph's daughter-in-law. This event shocked Canadians and would eventually be posted in the Toronto Globe with the title, "Dark Deeds of Keewatin Indians, They Strangle and Burn Sick Friends." The case against Jack was eventually dropped after nearly 4 months of being held in captivity due to his old age and poor health, as well as lack of criminal history. After being released, Jack was found dead later the same day, with his sash tied around his neck connected to a tree, essentially being hung. His brother would be found guilty and sentenced to hang, which was delayed and suspended after attempts to appeal this verdict, but he would ultimately die in custody from tuberculosis only 3 days before his appeal would be successful. Now, obviously this tale wasn't the badass story I initially thought it was going to be before researching the topic. It actually is just kind of depressing. I've seen some people frame this as white men opposing their laws and continued oppression on Native Americans as a way to silence their cultural practices. But others have framed this as natives prematurely killing sick tribe members because they didn't have the knowledge or ability to treat diseases like hypothermia or insanity from prolonged exposure to the cold. I'm not really sure where I stand on the argument, but I think this story shows that a lot of native beliefs can vary from group to group and shouldn't be considered all to be one unanimous belief. Also, this is kind of random, but if you've played Until Dawn, the super popular horror game from 10 years ago about Wendigos, the weird old guy with a flamethrower who helps you fight against the Wendigos is named Jack Fiddler. I don't see the similarities, but the fact he has a flamethrower is a nice touch. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe, stay curious, and remember, they are with us.